Hey y'all, it is October the 30th, 2020, 2024, and I hope you're doing all right. And if you're not doing all right, know that it's going to be all right. All right. I'm doing just fine over here. I don't have any time for streaming tonight because I got to get a few things done. All right. I'm a busy, busy, busy beaver. But I did want to holler at y'all real quick about a couple of things, just little small things. As the time grows nigh to all sort of malarkey and tomfoolery for show, I wanted to mention a couple of things. Number one, I guess, would be what's right behind me. A lot of y'all don't know what that means because it's Spanish and it's playing around with words. Um, More or less, what the sign means is fuck your Make America Great Again. This is in Spanish. Calling you a pendejo, which is like I don't know what it specifically translates to, but a dumb motherfucker, basically. A dumb ass individual. That's what you are. And no more orange is what that means. I'm assuming they mean orange man. Orange man bad. So I will give credit. It's somewhat creative, a little bit sort of funny, kind of. Right? It's pretty much confrontational, but then again, at the same time, you could just have a Harris wall sign in front of your yard, and that's basically uh, confrontational, basically. All right. But of course, a lot of people don't realize it. The person put this sign up, they probably realize it, all right, and they're having fun in your yard with whatever sign you want. Feel free. All right, but like I said, the sentiment either way is the same. All right, basically, it's a little bit more egregious because it is in Spanish, and it's like, oh, are you invading? Or are you smuggling people? I mean, it seems like that might be a thing you like to do, right? You seem like an outsider saying "fuck your country." That's what it seems like. So it's a little bit more egregious, but it's basically the same thing. The other day I was actually talking to a lady, and she was trying to convince me to register to vote, and I had to explain to her that it's like, dude, I'm too late for that. Deadline's already up. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't get it figured out in time. All right, but she was trying to get me to vote and stuff, and at one point she actually asked me who I was going to vote for. And I'm old school enough. The thing is, man, you should already know, all right? You're not paying attention. You are not paying attention to me if you don't know who I would potentially vote for. This goes for on the internet and in my personal life, that's for sure. But I didn't really come out and say it because, I had the feeling that, first of all, I could be private. Secondly, I had a weird gut feeling about who she was fixing to vote for. So a short while after that, she shared with me that she indeed was going to vote for Kamala, or has already voted for Kamala. And she said some old bull stuff, what you would assume. Oh, Trump said this and that about Hispanics. Never did. Oh, Trump said this and that about Haitians. All right. Oh, man, Kamala said she's going to give me $25,000 to buy a house. I really want a house. Yeah, I get it. The thing is, first of all, I want to say, see, this is why women, and it seems so odd. Oh, I'm trying to take away their rights. This is why women shouldn't vote. Purely and simply, but if you don't have the eyes to see or the ears to hear, you're not gonna know what the fuck I'm talking about. I mean, you look all throughout history, more often than not, there was all sort of battles and this and that, people struggling for to make their people put their people on top and stuff, battles in between, all sort of stuff, carnage, barbarism, all right? It's built into many of these women, deep down into their DNA, to comply. Why? Because these women have had to comply. If your village got into it with another village, that other village came and murdered all your husbands and stuff like that, your older sons, you had to break yourself off and comply with those people who just murdered your sons and husbands. You had to, and you knew it. So those women, a lot of the times who didn't comply, you were killed as well. So your bloodline did not continue to go on, and that's how you weed out non-compliant ladies. So over however many generations, you're going to wind up with more and more compliant ladies, and they don't realize it. It's deep in their subconscious. A lot of times they don't have what it takes to realize it because they're not reflexive or whatever. They don't look at themselves to try and realize why it is that they do what they do. More or less, what I realized, and this is why I say women shouldn't vote, and I love women. I got nieces, I got a daughter, this and that, ex-wife, all this. I love all of them. My mom, everybody, all these women, all of them, love them. Should not ever have the right to vote because it's built into their DNA. Basically, and this doesn't account for all women, obviously. There's a lot of women who, for whatever reason, have grown, they've risen above this nature and this behavior, and God bless those women. Y'all in a small minority, that's for sure. But you're still kind of in the same group a lot of the times. I'll explain, women subconsciously, in order to survive, they are going to side with the top dog. Every time, the top dog. And who is the top dog, whether they know it or not? The Democrats. All right? They are running roughshod on everybody. And the women might be not smart enough to know this in their conscious brain, but in their subconscious, they realize, oh, these people are running the show. These people shan't be messed with. All right? So these are the people I'm going to go with because I better comply. These are some dangerous people. All right? Metaphorically, they see the Democrat Party and a bunch of Republicans as well, Rhino Republicans. They see them as having a metaphorical knife to their throat. Yeah, basically, that's what it is. And so the women, instinctively by design, they're like, I better comply. This person has a knife to my throat. And then at the same time, that person with a knife to their throat, they're saying, oh, we're going to do all these good things for you. They got a knife to their throat. And they're like, oh, we're going to do all these good things for you if you just let us do it. I know we've never done anything good for you before, but we're going to, I promise. This time we're going to do all sort of good things for you. They got the knife to the throat, just digging it in there. Like the neck is bleeding a little bit because it's like dug into their throat. And they're like, if you just stop being a fucking bigot and this and that and comply and do whatever the fuck we say, then we're going to do all sort of good things for you. Someday we're going to do it. We're on top. You see, we're putting people in prison. We don't give a fuck. And so the knives to their throat, and the women, metaphorically speaking, are like, yes, I love you. Just don't fucking kill me. Please. I'll do anything for you. And literally that's what's happening metaphorically. And women are designed that way. And the thing is, you might have noticed, there's all sort of men who act like this as well, right? That's going to happen. There's going to be exceptions to which men act like that as well. It's not built into men because throughout all the generations and all the wars and battles and stuff, if the men lose the battle, you're fucking killed, dude. You're done. All right? So you're not going on, you ain't going nowhere. You're dead. And so men, by design, we don't typically capitulate that way because we know that there's nothing good in it for us anyways. We're going to die. But there are men out there who, of course, there's white dudes for Harris and all this sort of stuff because they ain't never seen a war in their life. They don't know what it's like. They feel like war is impossible and it will never come to their doorstep, even though it's all around the world and it's all throughout history. Just it will never ever come to their doorstep. Orange man bad because they told me so. They got a knife to my throat and they're telling me Orange man bad. I agree. I totally agree. So they're acting. All right. And it's largely due to the chemicals that are turning the freaking frogs gay as well. All right. These people are straight effeminate, these men. And might I remind you that women are much, much more violent than men are by nature. And thank God, women don't typically have muscles or the capacity to carry out the violence that they would do so in their heart if they had the capacity. They're very violent. Women, they are much, much, much more violent than men are. However, if you get a man with a woman's mentality, that's no good because he might have the capacity for all sort of violence, and he's already got the nature of a woman, so he's going to be very violent. At the drop of a hat, if you hurt his feelings, he's coming for your life. Guy down here, right here, doesn't give a shit about your country, and in fact laughs at the destruction of your country, even though he's living in your country. He doesn't realize he's going down too. He's a man. He's going to get dealt with just like all the rest of them. And mind you, also as well, these people for sure will sell you out. They will snitch you out. And it's going to happen. All right, before I get up out of here, like I said, my prediction is no election. Yeah, I know they're running an election right now. Yeah, okay, I get it. I wouldn't doubt that it's just never ending. But, however, if after a week past November the 5th, it's not going to be on November the 5th, it's going to be a clear week after that, and they're still not going to have no idea who won. They're going to pretend they're retards, but they're not. They're really just criminals. So, like I said, there's a couple of possibilities. They're going to try and convince that Harris actually won. Oh, she just barely won, and there's no evidence of cheating. Meanwhile, the evidence of cheating will be suffocating. Like, it will be every fucking where that you look. You're going to see cheating. It's just going to be preposterous. You're going to walk out your front door and see cheating somehow. It's going to be that rampant. It's going to be that obvious and absurd. It really will be. All right. And what are you going to do about it? They're going to turn around and say, oh, you're a bad person and you're a bigot and a Nazi and all this, and you're a problem. You're definitely a problem. And if they go down that road, there's going to be false Fs, F flags, if you will. There certainly are going to be. So let me predict right now. Okay, they have Kamala so-called win. They're going to have to cheat like hell. Donald Trump and everybody else going to point out that they cheated like hell. And that is just obvious in everybody's face, right? So they're going to not give a damn, say there's no evidence, say you're Nazi, say you're trying to insurrect everything. On January 6th, and trust me, stuff probably go down before January 6th, but on January the 6th, they're going to blow something up. Period. I have no doubt in that. If Harris so-called wins and it's not even close, it's going to be a landslide, but they're going to cheat like hell. If Harris wins, they're going to blow something up on January 6th. There's no question about it. And then they're going to turn around within 5 minutes. They're going to say, this is MAGA. MAGA did this. This is MAGA country. And the white Supremes came out and did this. In 5 minutes, they're going to say that. And when evidence slowly trickles out that no MAGA person had nothing to do with this, won't matter. They're turning around and say, you Nazi bigots and all this. You're out to kill everybody. You're planting bombs everywhere. You're white Supremes. I might remind you, they had pipe bombs the last January 6th that somehow, some way didn't go off. They planted them. They were there. All right, they were ready to use them. They're going to use them this time for show. And then after that, guess what? If you have a Donald Trump hat, a Donald Trump shirt, or something like that, it's going to be tantamount to having swastikas all over your body. and wearing and God bless Hitler pictures all over your body. You are going to get snitched out, and that's the show if you come out like that, because at that point you're going to be a domestic terrorist, insurrectionist. Bombs are going off, and you're supporting this. Oh, you're some sort of domestic terrorist. We're going to snitch you out, and that's how it's going to go down. That would be their plan. All right, and then of course, if it's too big to rig, and Donald Trump actually, they allow Donald Trump to get in, they're gonna have to allow him to get in. If they allow it, all sort of chaos is going to rain out. There's going to be no end to the chaos. Weather weapons and all that. Water plants are going to get all super contaminated and hacked into. Certain electric grids are going to be taken out. It's going to be blamed on Russian and Donald Trump supporters. There's going to be forest fires all throughout the winter. There's going to be all sort of different forest fires going to be blamed on global warming in the winter. People don't give a fuck. All right? See what we're dealing with. And that's just kind of what I wanted to relay on that note. Another note before I get up out of here, actually, kind of a nicer note. Earlier, I was with some of my boys, right? And we were discussing some Bible stuff because we're in a little Bible group. I don't take the Bible I'm not like one of those Bible thumpers and stuff like that, but it's nice to read some wise words sometimes and try to reflect on them and meditate on them and stuff like that. Just little morsels from time to time, right? So today we're actually reading these verses, just a couple of verses, and it goes like this: honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops. And that just struck me. That struck me like a brick to the head, dude. And it's not the first time I heard that, but sometimes you need stuff told to you at the right moment. It says with the first fruit of all your crops, and then your barns will be filled to overflowing. Some people think, oh, that's just a nice thing to say and this and that. No. It appears to me that this is actually God's way, all right? And a lot of people don't have the faith enough to do it, to include myself. I've never lived my life like this. Maybe at times I've given a lot of times I've given, but have I consistently and every single time like clockwork given my first fruits to God? The answer is very much no, not at all. All right, so I'm talking about myself personally, individually, and it says, your vats will brim over with new wine. Oh, yeah, I'm going to get drunk. It says, my son, here's on another note, it says, my son, do not despise the Lord's discipline, and do not resent his rebuke, because the Lord disciplines those he loves. As a father, the son he delights in. Now, most people on earth will not really get what's being said, or if they really intellectually get what's being said here, they're never ever going to believe it. And like I said, I've never lived my life like this. But as America is sliding very fast into conflict, if you will, and I wish everybody the best, no matter who you're voting for and stuff. I wish you the best, and I love you. I love you, bud. All right. I have to admit, I never lived my life like this, and I don't think most of America, maybe the world, they don't live their lives like this. And God, and a lot of people claim to be a Christian and read out the Bible and stuff. It's so God's given us a clue right here. Not to say God wrote this, a person wrote this. I'm saying these are wise words, and maybe they're not true. Like, for example, the top, first fruits, honor the Lord with your wealth, first fruits of the crops, and your barns will be overflowing. A lot of people are too poor for this. A lot of people say, oh man, I'm just gosh, man, I would love to get my first fruits, but I'm barely hanging on here. All right, in America and abroad, I'm sure. I'm poor. I've always been poor, so that's been my mentality. Oh shoot, gosh, I gotta barely struggle to pay these freaking bills, and I'm not gonna pay all the bills, but I'm gonna try to pay some of them, and I'm still struggling with it. And gosh, we'll see how it goes. But these words really struck me. It's like, dude, what kind of faith do I have? What kind of faith do I have in God? If these are words that God would endorse, and what kind of faith do I have in it if I never done this? If I never lived my life like this? And I'm over here talking about how I'm poor and stuff. And what if God's like just wanting to make me financially with money? And of course, money, the financial wealth, that's not the biggest thing, anyways. But as an example, what if God was like, dude, I wish Gerard would just fucking stop. I wish he would give me his first fruits. He's never given me his first fruits. And I'm just dying to give him extra money, but he's not giving me the first fruits. And so he's showing me a lack of faith. How am I going to give him more money? Why would I give him more money so that he can get farther away from me? The more money he gets and stuff, and he's not grounded in God, the more it's going to take him away from God. And he still hasn't even given me his first fruits. What if that's the reason? How come I don't have extra money? Well, it got me to thinking, it's like, man, America, perhaps this would be true for all of America. What if we all gave our first fruits all the time, every time, no questions asked? How wealthy do you think we'd be at this point? Instead of most of us on the brink of absolute poverty, how wealthy do you think we'd be if we actually lived our lives like this? If we actually lived our lives like this, do you know that there would be absolutely 0.00 need for government welfare? There would be no government welfare because they would never be able to get away with it. We're all giving our first fruits to God. We're all taking care of orphans. We're all taking care of the homeless. And we don't need no government, nothing, dude. You need to step off, get off, and fuck off for the government welfare that you're all doing. If we all gave our first fruits, they wouldn't have the opportunity to give welfare. If we all gave our first fruits, these lines, and they could be wrong, are saying that we would never ever worry about wealth ever again. That'd be the last thing from our minds. That's very interesting. I've already been giving some. But this right here inspires me to give more. Not only give more, but make it my first fruits. Make it the first thing that I do. Oh, I got paid. The first thing I'm doing, giving it to God. And that doesn't necessarily mean a pastor, but it could mean a pastor. It doesn't necessarily mean it. It just means give to God. God is calling you to give to something. And if you dig real deep, I'm talking to myself, you're going to know exactly what that something is. It's not going to be a question to you. It's whether or not you have the faith enough to give and don't expect it back. Because God will repay you how he sees fit. And I'll holler at y'all a little bit later. It's October the 30th, 2020, 2024.